If you make this resume mistake, recruiters are probably just gonna throw your resume into the trash. Hey guys, it's Lillian here. I'm super excited today because I finally have my new standing desk set up for my internship that's starting over the summer. And speaking of internships, I am making a How to Find an Internship 101 series where I talk about the steps on finding internships from resumes to interviews and everything in between, because I got a few questions about how to find internships after I posted my How I Found My Internships video, which you can check out on my channel. So mostly focusing on resume mistakes because I'm pretty sure there's so many resources out there on how to craft a resume. So I'm just gonna go through 6 of the mistakes I've seen in other people's resumes and how you can avoid some of those mistakes. So before we get started, make sure to like the video and don't forget to subscribe to this channel to stay tuned on more videos in this upcoming series. So mistake number 1 is not including your extracurricular or quote-unquote less traditional experiences. I know, like, especially when you're starting out in college, you don't really have much formal work experience at companies and so forth. So a lot of the ways that people gain experience is through extracurriculars and clubs, and I actually have a video about joining clubs if you're curious in checking that out. Something that I noticed not a lot of people do is that some people tend to not include their experiences that they've had in school organizations and other less traditional experiences on their resumes. You should definitely include things like class projects and clubs you're a part of, and even other experiences such as tutoring, babysitting, and things like that. So these are definitely great experiences to include on your resume. Like, the aim is that traits like leadership and teamwork can definitely be shown through a lot of different types of experiences and doesn't have to be like a quote-unquote formal experience, right? Including a lot of your other experiences on your resume shows that you have some of these like leadership and teamwork traits, which is definitely what a lot of recruiters and companies look for when they are going through resumes. So the second mistake that I see a lot of people making on their resumes is including way too much color or unnecessary graphics. Something that I've seen is that recruiters only spend an average of 6 seconds looking over someone's resume, so you don't really have much time to show them your experiences. And if you include so many unnecessary colors or graphics, it actually makes it a lot harder for recruiters to actually read through your resume. And sometimes resumes even go through an automated system called the ATS, where basically an algorithm parses out the words in your resume. So if you have a lot of unnecessary colors and pictures floating around, it makes it a lot harder for even an automated system to understand what you're writing. So something that I would definitely recommend, instead of all the colors, you should just include a basic black to white text format that is really standard across a lot of industries. I included a template of a pretty standardized white and black text resume template, so if you need help with your resume formatting, be sure to check that out, and I'm sure it'll help you guys a lot. Also, for certain industries, if you're in like more of a design or creative field, like a more creative resume may work, I'll definitely recommend keeping it to a white and black text format for the majority of people writing their resumes. The third mistake is having a resume that's more than 1 page long, and chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably a student like me applying to internships or entry-level positions, so there's really no need to have a resume that's more than a page long. And like, recruiters and other people don't have the time to be reading your entire autobiography, so you should definitely keep your experiences to 1 page if you have under 10 years of experiences. If you feel like you can't fit everything in 1 page, I would definitely recommend just parsing out some of the most important experiences that you like to highlight in your resume and overall portfolio, so that you're not bogging down the reader with your entire life story. If you can fit everything in 1 page, that's great, and definitely the standard for most of the resumes out there. The next mistake that I see people using on their resumes is including an objective statement. And if you haven't heard of this before, it's basically when people write something like, I'm applying to this job because I have X skills to XYZ company. And this is where they write it on the top of the resume. And I definitely think that this is a pretty outdated practice and also a waste of space, because when you're applying to a club or internship, they know that you're trying to apply and get their position. So like, they know why you're applying, right? A lot of the extra space that you can save from this is more better used to expand on your experiences and to show like the person reading the resume that you have a lot of other types of experiences and impact that you can offer. Resume mistake number 5 is using dead and passive phrases instead of actual achievements. When I first started writing resumes, I also used a lot of passive phrases that didn't really explain my impact or actual achievement of the experience I had. So some of these examples of dead and passive phrases can include things like, responsible for, or tasked with. If you use these types of phrases, it sort of just briefly summarizes the tasks that you did during the position and doesn't really communicate what you actually achieved. So instead, you should definitely replace these passive phrases with action verbs, and examples of some of these action verbs include achieved, created, developed, and here are more action verbs that you can use on your resume. And a formula that I actually really like is by Google. I saw a couple of articles on how they recommend this formula called the XYZ formula. And basically, how that works is that it makes your bullets very specific, and there's a specific formula of how to write your bullet points. So the gist of it is describing something as accomplish X as measured by Y by doing Z. And this focuses on the quantitative results and the impact of your work instead of just showing like very brief responsibilities or tasks that you did. When someone reads your resume in this sort of format, they understand the actual impact that you had in your position, a passive phrase versus a more detailed phrase. So a really vague phrase would be something like quote unquote grew revenue for clients. So that's super vague and doesn't really talk about the impact or what you achieved in that position. A more detailed example of this phrase would be something like grew revenue for 10 small business clients by 10% quarterly by mapping new software features as solutions to their business goals. So if you compare this sentence to the previous super vague phrase, this new edited bullet point really tells the person reading it the sort of impact you had. The next mistake is submitting a generic resume when you're applying to various types of internships. And this is definitely something that I've done as well. When I was first applying to internships, I just had one resume file and basically sent it to every single internship that I've seen. I definitely learned that it's much more effective if you tailor your resume specific to the job or to the broader industry if you don't want to edit your resume for every single job that you apply to. I also have this pen here that I haven't used, but it kind of doubles as a cue microphone, so I'll use that. If you're applying to different industries like consulting, tech, finance, and etc., you should definitely have 3 separate files where you have different types of experiences that are tailored to that specific industry. So if you're applying to finance roles, for example, you want to include more finance-based experiences and include a lot more in numbers. It helps a lot when people are looking at your resume in these different industries and they can identify like how you are a good fit. So that's definitely something I started doing and would recommend for you guys as well. If having different resumes for these industries is too broad even for you, you can even break it down to more specific job functions like marketing, product management, etc. So that's even a more specific breakdown of having different types of resumes tailored to a specific function. When you are tailoring your resume, it's also really helpful to use keywords from the job description and sort of weaving it into your resume and experiences. The automated algorithm goes through your resume. Sometimes when you have a lot of these keywords that are relevant to the job description, it can kind of match you to their like ideal type of candidate. You should avoid the mistake of submitting super generic resumes to every single internship you apply to. So hopefully you can avoid some of these resume mistakes, and I hope some of the tips helped you as well. I'll be making more episodes on this How to Find an Internship series, so make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like the video, and if you watched your video all the way to the end, I really appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think of the video below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!